I did get Happy Mother's Day.
Okay, can we acknowledge ourselves for making it on this day with the weather like it is? Frankly, I didn't know what it was going to be like, but I knew it was going to be perfect. So take a breath a minute. I'm going to say a few lessons from A Course in Miracles to kind of get warmed up from the workbook. You have given everything you see all the meaning that it has for you. You have given everything you see all the meaning that it has for you. I say you have given everything you see all the meaning that it has for you. So the thought I want you to take into the focus period is just this one idea. You don't take any other idea out of here today. Take this idea. I have given everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. I have given everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. Now, I want to take a couple of minutes, and anyone who does not mind putting a little energy behind that idea for themselves, and don't mind saying it with me, let's say it now. I have given everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. I have given everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. I have given everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. Take a breath. The next one is, and this is a really good one. I am never upset for the reason I think. I am never upset for the reason I think. I am never upset for the reason I think. I am never upset for the reason I think. I am never upset for the reason I think. I am never upset for the reason I think. Breathe. Put a little spiritual funk in it. Determined to see things differently. I am 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 determined to see them differently. I am determined to see them differently. I am determined to see them differently. I am determined to see things 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 differently. Abundance is my natural state. Abundance is my natural state. Claim it for yourself if you feel like it. Abundance is my natural state. The power of the spoken word. Abundance is my natural state. And one of my personal favorites is, I deserve to be paid for having fun. 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 I am not the victim of the world I see. I am not the victim of the world I see. I am not the victim of the world I see. Claim your power. I am not the victim of the world I see. I am not the victim of the world I see. I am not the victim of the world I see. I am not the victim of the world I see. I am not the victim of the world I see. Let me be still and listen to the truth. Let me be still and listen to the truth. Let me be still and listen to the truth. Let me be still and listen to the truth. Let me be still, listen to the truth. Well, let me be still, listen to the truth. Let me be still and listen to the truth. Let me be still and listen to the truth. Let me be still and listen to the truth. Let me be still and listen to the truth. I rest in God. I rest in God. I rest in God. I rest in God. Yeah. I rest in God. I rest in God. I rest in God. I rest. That's the same as saying I rest in love. I rest in love. I rest in love. I rest in love. I am juicy and cute. 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 I am juicy. I am powerful. I am so powerful and free. I am 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 powerful and free. I claim my power now. I claim my power now. I claim my power now. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Woo! Hello.
Hello.
All right, it's good to see you. If this is the first time you're here, you don't have to believe the ideas. You don't have to accept the ideas. You don't have to welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas may be hard to believe. Some of it might be quite startling. Nobody's asking you to judge it at all. If you use it, you'll see that it's true, because what the Course in Miracles is working with is your perception of things. And it's your perception of things, which is your interpretation of things, that's determining how you feel. So how you feel is actually coming from what you're telling yourself. And what you're telling yourself is determining how you are feeling in this very moment. And if that's true, who's responsible for how you're feeling right now? All right, so no matter what the situation is, it's you that's determining how you feel about it, right? So if you don't feel good right now, it's not being caused by that situation. It's caused by the way you're looking at the situation. If you look in the mirror in the morning and you don't love what you see, then it means you're not seeing you. Because anybody that sees you, they just fall in love. Because you're just so cute. And you're so cool. And you're so loving. And you may not believe it, but because you don't believe it, that doesn't mean it's not true. You understand? So I'm going to talk about, we'll continue this week with the section we did called the Holy Instant and Special Relationships. So we're talking about the healing, instant, and special relationships. Everybody familiar with special relationships? All right. Now, we're going to be on page, if you got the book, and I got some extra ones up here if you want to follow along as best you can. We're going to be on page 312. And this is a deep section. This is a section that, it's funny, no matter what, if I cover the special relationships section, usually the very next week there's a drop-off of attendance in the class. It's been that way for 30 years. If I talk about what the course teaches about relationships, there's more unconscious resistance to the way we do relationships than any other part of the Course in Miracles. Because it's what we do the most, it's what we suck at. The way we do relationships is pretty much pathetic. Can we get real for just a minute? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of pitiful. You know what I'm saying? I want people to sign a waiver before they get involved with me. I go to parties that's so intense, you sign waivers. That's right. I was at one just a couple of weeks ago. You get to sign the waiver. You can come to this party. You know you're going to have a good time. You know, if you sign a waiver before you walk in. You know what I mean? You know some good stuff and it come down. That's why I study the course, so I feel innocent the next day. There's a reason why I study this stuff. I feel like an outlaw sometimes. I know how an outlaw feels. Like they're free, but they're not really free. Because they're free, but they're looking any minute, you know. I mean, I don't even sit with my back to the door in restaurants. All my friends know, you're going to turn to sit right, that's right. Because I know that it's so important that we understand that everything we see is a reflection of our thought. You're only seeing your own thought all the time. You're only experiencing your own thoughts all the time. Now that either is going to turn you on, or that's going to be one of the most depressing things that someone could ever say to you. So what kind of world is your thoughts producing for you right now? Okay, that answered that question. What I love about my classes is what the silence talks much louder in my classes than any words that ever come out. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start in the paragraph that says, because of guilt. It says, because of guilt, all special relationships have an element of fear in them. So if you're in any kind, it's not just special relationship that's a romantic relationship. A special relationship is any relationship that you would be tempted to give your peace up about. So that could be your relationship with money. It could be your relationship with your job, your clothes, your things, your belief system. So you can have a special relationship with your dog, with your cat, with your socks.
What? Yeah.
You can have a special relationship with your underwear, your newspaper, your TV shows, everything. Anything, your car is special. Car is a big special relationship. There have been people who've been taken out because they ran into somebody's car. And the person got out and they got into it. So the Course says, because of guilt, special relationships have fear in them. And the Course says the reason why the guilt is in them is because all of us know the truth. And the truth is we're not alone, we're all connected, and we all deserve to have the love of each other. So whenever you take all of your love and you exclusively focus it on one person or one thing, you unconsciously, inherently create guilt because you know what you're doing is not true, and you know that you're denying parts of yourself your love. Now, because these relationships have fear in them, special relationships shift and change frequently. Have you noticed that special relationships have ups and downs frequently? That's because they're full of guilt and fear. If I don't do it a certain way, the way you want it done, or if I think I've done something wrong, I feel guilty and I feel afraid of losing. So special relationships have a lot of fear in them because of the fear of loss. The more you are dependent on the other person or the other thing that you have specialness toward, the less honesty there will probably be in the relationship, because it's hard to be honest completely, because you would be afraid of alienating the support or whatever it is that other person is doing for you that you need. So you bite your tongue until you're ready to get the hell out of there. Then when you don't feel the same about them, you let them have all the thoughts that you had when they were special and you thought you needed them. But it's a boss or a job, anything. The minute you feel free, you feel honest. When you feel limited and dependent, then you hide, generally. So when I say you, I'm talking a generic you. I know you're an enlightened master, so nothing I'm saying applies to any of you. But the Course says the reason why the relationships change so much and there's so much guilt and fear in them is because none of these relationships are based on a love that doesn't change. And when you're in a love that you can lose and that changes, you're going to be afraid. So whenever fear has entered, you can't depend on the love, because when there is fear, the love isn't perfect. When there's fear, the love isn't complete. So when the love isn't complete, there is fear in the relationship. So if you have a lot of fear and conflict in any relationship with anybody, then there is not complete love in that relationship. There is some fear and guilt in the relationship. So it's one thing about the Course in Miracles is that when you listen to it, you have to get out of denial, because it makes it so simple for you to tell where you're really coming from as opposed to where you say you're coming from. Like if it says stuff like, a love that has fear in it can't be depended on, and I know I'm in a relationship that I'm afraid to communicate in, I know that I'm not in love with that person, or I'm not allowing love to be expressed at this time. So that means I'm sometimes expressing love and sometimes I'm not. In the times that I'm not, that's the time that I'm afraid. If I'm entering a bargain with you instead of a love relationship, then I'm very concerned about what I'm going to get back out of it. If I'm giving love, the love that I feel for you is so good that it's just satisfying just loving you. So therefore, whatever you do back, provided it's not physical attack, it really doesn't matter, because I'm fulfilled in the giving of the love. If it's a bargain that I've got going, where I'm trying to get something and you're trying to get something, then I'm always wondering if you're trying to take advantage of me or use me in some way. So when I'm not in love with the person, I'm always full of distrust and suspicion and wondering what I'm going to get out of it. When I love somebody, then the love that I feel is sufficient. So now we know where we stand, right? So at least we know where to start. So it's not about beating ourselves up. Now we know, that's what I love about these books. They teach me where to start. They're telling me, you don't really know, like if you go to a school to learn how to fly a plane, you don't expect to do a solo flight on the first day that you enter the class. But you are there because you're ready to learn. So nothing that I'm saying about being perfect in your love is something that you can do right now just because I say so, any more than going to a flight training school means the first day you go into the class, you're going to be able to fly solo. So don't beat yourself up because that's crazy. It's like I was in the class beating myself up because I can't fly solo the first day. That's as crazy as you beating yourself up because you don't know how to love unconditionally yet. So don't go into the beat yourself up. As a matter of fact, a person who's conscious enough to know that you don't know how to love and I don't really know how to love, that's the person that's going to forgive you when you act crazy. The person you tell you love and you're never going to get upset and you're never going to attack and you're never going to get mad, that's the person that's probably going to have a grievance against you when you do. Because you lied. You said, I love you, and that love takes the form of, I'm going to always be there for you no matter what. I'm always be compassionate no matter what. You can count on me no matter what. And a conscious being knows that when you say stuff like that, they don't believe you. What they do is they go, I really love your intention. I love that that's what you want to do with me, and that's what I want to do. But as far as me thinking anybody in this room tell me they really love me, mean they really love me, I don't even fool myself like that for 1 second. But I do know we want to let go of the blocks to the love. Is this true?
Yes.
So it says, in this function as interpreter of what you made, the Holy Spirit. Now the Holy Spirit is nothing but the part of you that knows the truth. It's the part of you that is divine love. It's the part of you that's linked to the universe. It's the spiritual being in you that knows what the heck is really going on as opposed to what you think is going on. So when I say Holy Spirit, I'm talking about your loving right mind. Okay, all right? So in its function as interpreter of what you made, the Holy Spirit, which is your loving right mind, in other words, the Course calls the Holy Spirit your sane mind, the part of you that's got some sense. He says, that part of you uses special relationships which you have chosen to support your ego, which is your fear, as learning experiences that point to the truth. So my relationship with all of you, all of my special relationships are just learning experiences that point to the truth. So you are deeply involved right now in a learning experience that points to the truth. If you're having a fearful relationship to money right now, you're in a learning experience that points to the truth about money. If you have a health problem right now, you actually are having a learning experience that points to health. There's something about what you're going through that's just a what? Learning experience. So all you having is learning experiences. You're not guilty, you're not sinful, you're not bad. You're not guilty, you're not sinful, you're not bad. You're not guilty, you're not sinful, you're not bad. You're just having a learning experience, and in some cases a heck of a learning experience, depending on what the situation is, right? So under the guidance of your higher self, every relationship becomes a lesson in love. So every relationship is a lesson in love. Every relationship is a lesson in love. Every relationship is a lesson in love. Every relationship is a love lesson. So every time you go out and you're hoping that you'll hook up with somebody, you're saying, I'm hoping I'll have a love lesson today. I'm hoping I'll have a learning experience that points to the truth. And if it's really good, I may have a learning experience that points to the ceiling. Amen. I have this nasty habit of talking to adults like they're adults. I'm just sorry. I don't talk to adults like they're 10-year-olds. Most people teach on the 10-year-old level. They talk like they're talking to children, and I don't. So it can be offensive to people who are not used to being talked to like you're an adult. It's really funny. Because some people think spirituality means you don't ever talk about sexuality. When they're intricately connected. That's the purpose of it. It's symbolic of joining. Why do you think we create so much drama around it? It's because it's symbolic of joining, and there's nothing a fearful person is more afraid to do than to join on any level. Joining is like the Course says, you think that you have, it's not separation that frightens us. So we're experts at being separate. It's joining that frightens us. It's coming together like we're doing right now, or walking up to a stranger and talk. It's joining is what we're scared of, you know. And so actually, the Course says, well, before I go to another, I did that paragraph. Let me throw it open for any questions or comments, hopefully about what I've said. That would be my dream. Any questions or comments about what I've said so far? Do you see any validity in what the Course has said so far? Okay, now do you know why? So if you feel fear in a relationship more than anything else, are you expressing love in that relationship? That's why it goes through so many changes, because it is not love being expressed yet.
So everything that you said can be applied to material objects as well.
That's right, exactly.
And so if we're fearful of losing them, that's not love.
That's not love.
That we have for this object.
That's right. That's right. Love has no concept of loss. So if I'm in my state of mind that's full of love, I can't lose anything in my mind. You know why? Because really, it's never the object that's generating the feeling that you're having anyway, right? The object is neutral. The thing you love could be the thing somebody else hates. Like that outfit that some people be wearing that they love and everybody's going, oh my God, please, you're not going to go out in the street in that, are you? You know what I'm saying? So it's a totally neutral outfit. So the loss that I feel about anything is just coming from the meaning. Some people, when they lose a relationship, they're ecstatic. They're so glad that it's over. And then somebody else, they're completely heartbroken. So loss is nothing but a personal perception. It's not a reality. It's the way you're looking at it. There have been people in my life that were in so much physical pain and deterioration that I loved that I prayed for them to leave their body. I thought it would have been cruel for them to stay in it. I'm dealing with an aunt like that right now. Every day I tell her, hey, it's okay for you to go. It's okay, because there's something to be said about the quality of life. I don't want to just be sitting around and I can't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's not living. So I would much rather be free of my physical vehicle, just like you get free of a car that's worn out, you know, and you don't have a funeral for it. You know, really beloved, we're gathered together on behalf of Earl's Passat. That's the Course in Miracles teaches that when you get to the point you see the body correctly, you won't be upset about any destruction of anybody, because you'll know that that spiritual being that was inhabiting that body is still okay, still in existence. Deep, yes.
So there's no loss in love ever?
No, not in love.
No such thing?
No such thing.
Okay, and so when someone does pass, a relationship does end, or a car does go on, it's just love that changes.
Yes, love. Just at this level, it just takes on different forms. So let's see. If I say I really want love, and all I deserve is love, then let's say I'm in a relationship with Marjorie, and she decides she doesn't want to love, be a vehicle for love. No, that's impossible. It would never happen. But if it ever happened, then you know what love would do if she decided that she didn't want to allow it to come to me through her, and I truly desired. Who knows what it's going to do? It's going to come through some other form that would allow it to come to me, because I want love more than I want Marjorie. See, you got to want the content more than you want the form. I know. You really hit one. Because if you make it dependent on that form, and then that form decides that it's not going to be a vehicle for it, then I'm up the creek. If it's got to all come through Marjorie, and Marjorie's decided she's not going to give it to me, what old Earl would have done would have tried to figure out every way he could to get Marjorie to give it to him, even though she didn't want to give him any, right? So what you do is you communicate as honestly as you can about what you like to experience with that person, and you ask if there's any way we can join on having the kind of love and peace that we say we want to have. And if they say, no, go to hell, I'm through with you, I'm done, then you at that point should be open to love as much as you've ever been open to love. And then love will get to you really fast if you let go of who you think it should come to you through and where it should come. It's your deciding on who it should be that delays the love getting to you. Because you may decide it should come through a person or a thing that does not want to be a vehicle for that. Do you see that? But if you're more addicted to the appearance than you are to the content, then you're going to want to be with that person because of their body, more so than you want to be with that person because of the love that they're sharing with you. I know you hate me, but God, I love your breast. I'll just take you to a class. We'll work this out. You understand what I'm talking about? We'll want the form more than there are people in relationships for material security who care nothing about the person that they're with. They want the form more than they want the content, which means they don't see themselves as whole, they don't see themselves as complete, they don't see themselves as connected to source. They think that person is their source. So that person is in error from the very beginning, so they've got to go through pain. And people treat you better when they feel like you won't be there regardless of how they treat you. A person who has high self-esteem, if you're with that person, you'll try harder because you know they're not going to allow themselves to be mistreated. So you have to treat them better. Someone who has a poor self-image will settle for anything and any kind of treatment. And so they get treated any kind of way. So what's the test? The test is, can you be happy without that relationship? Would you be okay even if that relationship was not there? And that's material things too. Like before I buy something, I try to ask myself, would I freak out if this thing was lost or stolen? If I think I would freak out, I try not to buy it. So if you're buying things that you know you freak out if you came home and if it was gone, try to think about not putting your investment in things that are idols. And idols are anything you put before your own peace.
Wow.
Don't I do little light classes? Don't you just like the light classes that I do?
So light.
Now, people usually have two reactions to me. Either they get me or they don't, or they like me or they don't, depending on how much I push their button and trust on the thing that they know that this their problem or their challenge. If you're a person who's controlling and jealous and possessive, you're not going to want to listen to a guy that says love is freedom and openness and sharing. So people who are jealous and insecure hate Course in Miracles and Course in Miracles type classes because they're trying to manipulate and control everybody through fear. And I'm saying that you should not allow yourself to be controlled and manipulated through fear.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be popular with a person that's really frightened. And I don't care. If you're ever going to be happy, you've got to stop caring about other people's opinions of you. You got to. You won't get anywhere on the spiritual path if you keep needing the approval of people who really don't support you anyway. It's really crazy. And those are the people that we have the temptation to look for the support from first. It's actually the people who would be most likely to judge us, condemn us, and criticize us. And what I'm saying is, you are free. You're innocent and you deserve to be happy. And if you find something wrong with a person telling you that, you might have an issue that you might need to take a look at. Why would you be upset with a person that's championing your freedom? Because I'm not a cult leader. I'm not interested in being anybody's leader at all. Because leaders are alone. And a follower is also walking by themselves. The leader, the follower. Right? So you got the leader walking by itself, the follower walking by itself. I'd much rather walk together.
Yeah.
As equals. Because then I'm not alone. So who gives a heck about being anybody? Anyway, who wants the responsibility? I really don't want the responsibility of being anybody's leader. I got to go to my apartment to my party that I need to sign a waiver. I don't have time to be worried about about trying to get you to follow me. This is to the party. And why do I say so much about party? Because joy is love. Happiness is love. Joy is forgiveness. When you're happy is when you're most forgiving. You owe it to everyone in your life to be joyful. You owe it to us to be happy. You owe us to be happy. So the Course in Miracles, let's go into the next paragraph. It says the Holy Spirit, and this is really deep, it says the Holy Spirit knows no one is special. The loving Spirit, the higher power, knows no one is special. What do you mean? Well, in other words, none of us have the love of God more than anybody else. All of us equally deserve love. Sorry. We are special in that we're all unique in the way that we express it. But we're not special in the sense that anybody deserves it any more than anybody else. That's the way we do love. That's our version of love, isn't it? I singled you out, and I'm excluding you from everybody else. You are now mine, and everyone else is excluded. I am now your everything. You're supposed to be the last experience of a man you have the rest of your whole life. That's too much responsibility for me. You know what I'm saying? Because then if you want to go skiing, then you're going to want me to ski with you. If you ever see me on the slope shooting, that's a clone. It's an alien. You see Earl going, that's a clone right there. That's an alien right there. No. So my point is, the way I do in my relationships is this. Is there something you want to do that I don't do? Well, by all means, do it with whoever you want to do it with beside me that really wants to do it. That's so much easier. But if I'm insecure, if I'm jealous, if I believe our love isn't strong, I'd never let something like that come out of my mouth because I would be afraid there's a possibility that you might go skiing with him and y'all ski on away and I never see you again. You know what I mean? Because they say if you want to know something yours, you free it. Right? Y'all heard that stuff? And then if it come back, it's yours. And then if it don't, it wasn't. Well, sometimes it didn't come back. I did that whole little thing. And I never seen them to the day. It's the truth. So I'm not saying just because you do that, they're going to come back. But what you will find out is whether or not it's yours. See, that's what you want to know. That's what you want to know. So it says, now the higher power also perceives that you have made special relationships. And it says, which the higher power would purify. Now what does it mean when you say God's going to purify your relationship? The Course says it's very simple. Your higher power is simply not going to let you destroy it. That's purification, not screwing it up. And it says, however unholy or unhappy or unreal the reason you made the relationship may be, higher power can translate your special relationships into holiness, which is happiness. Okay, so love can transform your relationships into happiness no matter what reason you originally made it for. Okay, so that means, yes, you can change your job, but you could let the higher power transform it. You could change your relationships, but you could allow the higher power to transform it. In other words, you don't have to ever change your physical condition necessarily in order to have the happiness that you're seeking. But it's okay if you choose to. But don't tell yourself that the answer is going to be necessarily changing the outer situation. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't if you feel like you should. But always try to remember that the way you're feeling about it is coming from you. Always. Now, sometimes your feelings can be so intense that you need a fresh experience in order to get unlocked. Like I moved to Denver to give myself a new experience that unlocked a lot of things for me. Because in Memphis, I could not change my mind about what it was I thought I could experience there at that time. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I could spend the next 20 years trying to change my mind about Memphis, or I could come to Denver and work on my mind. Well, I realized in Denver ultimately isn't what's going to make me happy, but it did give me a fresh perspective of what I could achieve. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with changing relationships or anything in your outer. Just make sure you do not tell yourself that it's the change you made in the outer that's going to make you ultimately happy. The change is just giving you a little free time to kind of make yourself believe you're dealing with something different, like a new relationship does. Like at the beginning, it allows you to think you are really in something new. That's so you'll be more open to implementing maybe some of the truth that you've learned. But if you don't implement any of the truth that you've learned, you all know that within 6 months, it starts to seem very familiar. All of a sudden, you're watching the same patterns present themselves because the mere fact that you were attracted to the person or situation means you all have patterns that match, that you're both going to get another chance to reproceed. So what does that mean? You're really only attracted to people who trigger your patterns. That's why you're attracted to them as opposed to somebody else, because they're your pattern. So the minute you go, "Ooh, I'm attracted to you," you just could say, "Oh, my pattern is really turned on by you. I want some good pattern tonight." Because that's what you're going to present me with, right? So the Course, now this is really deep. It says, now, how does the higher power change your relationship into holiness, which is happiness? Good question. By removing as much fear as you will let God remove. So what does that mean? It means if I want this relationship to be transformed, then I need to allow fear to be removed, because it's only fear that's presenting the problem. If I have a problem with finances, it's not the economy that's the problem, it's my fear of abundance that's the problem. If I'm constantly having problems in my love life, it's not the problem, is I have fear of intimacy. And people who have fear of intimacy, one of the games that they play, you want to hear one of the games that people with fear of intimacy play? They always say, "I want to have an intimate relationship, but I can't find one." And it doesn't show up. So if you're one of those people that's always complaining that you really would like some intimate, powerful relationships, but they're not showing up, that is the expression of your fear of intimacy. And so what you do when you're afraid to open up, be vulnerable, join, and connect, is you choose someone that's a lousy choice, who appears to hurt you, which justifies your staying contracted and not opening up. You follow me? So then you can say, "I really want to open up, but there's no one for me to open up to." The truth is you're afraid to open up, so that's why you don't attract anybody to you that you can trust enough to open up to. Because it's much scarier to be with someone that's loving, who you have no excuse to trust and open up to, than it is to be with someone who appears to be fearful and mistreating you, which justifies you staying the way you've always been. Breathe. See how I was saying about denial? How you can't be in this class and stay in denial? Because it's too easy to tell, isn't it? Yeah, so next time you're attracted to somebody, ask yourself, why am I singling this person out? Out of all the people in here, why did I single you out? Well, it's because you're the one that I think can meet the needs that I think I have. So whatever need I think I have, I've decided you can meet it, so I'm going to single you out to meet my need. Notice I'm not singling him out to give him anything. I'm singling him out for what I think I can get from him. Most people don't go, "I'm looking for a relationship." Why? Because I want to give love. Just use it as something else. I'm lonely, don't want to be by myself, I need some help, I have issues. You see, it's about me. It's not about you. It's about me. Right? Okay. So the Course says you can place any relationship under the Holy Spirit's care. Great. And you can be sure that the relationship will not result in pain. You can be sure that the relationship will not result in pain if you offer love, the Holy Spirit, your willingness to have it serve no need but His. Now, what does that mean? It's so simple. In other words, I'm in a relationship. I want to place this relationship under the care of love or the Holy Spirit. Because I want happiness. I want the fear to be removed. Right? So what do? I offer the Holy Spirit, my higher power, my willingness to have the relationship serve no need but God's. See, when I hear stuff like that, that's, oh, I knew it was a downer. What you mean? Have my relationship serve no needs but God? That sounds boring. That's all. We just gonna be praying all the time. They ain't gonna never be having a good time or nothing. If it's just serving God's purpose, I can forget it. There's not gonna be much pleasure in that, right? Because it used to seem like when I was a kid, everything that I liked was a sin. I don't know about you. It was like everything that I thought was fun, they was it's on the list. You can forget it, that ain't happening. Right? So I learned to associate God with sacrifice, and to a lesser extent, to be honest, boredom. Because what most people call what God would want me to do sound very boring to me. Heaven sounded excruciatingly boring to me. You know, sitting around playing harps. It definitely wasn't black heaven, that's for sure. Okay. No, so my point is when you feel fear or resistance when you're hearing something, try to entertain the idea that your perception of it might be wrong if you're not responding with joy and willingness. You follow what I'm saying? Like if I hear heaven, but it bores me, then it's possible that my perception of what heaven is might not be correct, because it's not bringing me into peace and into joy. If you don't have peace in your relationship, it's a possibility the way you look at relationship might be wrong. Why? Because you're not feeling any peace in it. In other words, stop thinking you're right when you're miserable and unhappy and afraid.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? You know, we trust our fear too much. We trust our suspicion too much. So I could be the most loving person in the world. You come in because you don't know me, and because of your past experiences with people that you think of as like me, you immediately don't like me. Then you are letting your fear be the judge. So I could be the best thing that ever happened to you, and you never know it because you trusted your fear and suspicion. So when you first say you want to stop being fearful and suspicious, the part of you that's afraid to trust will probably attract you to somebody that justifies your fear and suspicion. So I would be particularly leery of the people that I'm attracted to when I say I'm ready to trust for the first time. Because that would be the person I'd most likely set myself up with. So I'm going to be extra aware with people that I'm attracted to after I say I'm ready for a change. Because that would be, the first person would be the one that the part of me that's afraid of intimacy would probably attract to justify my still being afraid of intimacy. Does that make sense to everybody? So the minute you make big declarations, you know, right after your big declaration, be aware that that's when you're most likely to defend against the change that you just said you wanted to make by creating some kind of a problem that makes you feel justified in believing you need to stay the way you always were. All right. So when I say I'm going to have my relationship has no purpose but to serve God's purpose, the Course says, well, what's God's purpose? Joy, peace, happiness, awakening, healing. So what I'm saying is, I want my relationship to be used for love. I want my relationship to be used for joining. I want my relationship to be used for freedom and abundance and connection and awareness and waking up. I want my relationship to be used for life and for healing and for connection and for joy. See what I'm saying? So if you say, I want to have my relationship serve no need but the need of God, I'm saying I'm finally ready to let go of pain, because it says if I place in a relationship under God's care, I could be sure that it won't result in pain. So any relationship that's not resulting in pain is a relationship that I'm applying the truth to, that is the relationship that I have put under God's care. Any relationship that I'm experiencing fear and guilt in, that's a relationship that's still under my care. So now do y'all know where you stand on that end? Okay, so I need to learn how to give it up, right? People say, well, how do I give it up? Well, I have to know the difference between love and fear. I have to know what a loving relationship is like, and I need to know what a relationship is like that's not. So how do I learn that? Through higher teachings like the Course in Miracles and other spiritual practices. The purpose of those things is to teach us the difference between the two. Because if we knew the difference, we wouldn't make so many bum choices. Right? If I already knew how to recognize love, I wouldn't enter so many relationships that are challenging for me. So the truth is, we don't know how to tell love from fear. Or we wouldn't walk into so many relationships with our eyes wide open that we end up going through hell in. So I need to know before I get into it. So if I'm talking to somebody and they say to me, "Oh, if I love you, I'm never going to let you out of my sight. I want to know where you are every second." Well, if we want to play that way, that's one thing. But if you want to really be that way, then I need to be aware. Because sometimes it's fun. Now you're free, I'm free, we're going to play like we possess it. You see what I'm saying? It's different from you're really not free, and I really see you as not free. See, because anything you choose to do of your own free will, you really are doing it out of your sense of freedom, even if it's limiting yourself in some way. So if you all need to make agreements in the relationship that work for the two of you, but you're both voluntarily agreeing to those agreements and restrictions or limitations or whatever you do, and you're both doing it out of a sense of freedom, you're still free. You know, if I voluntarily put myself in jail, I'm still free. But it'll be like the old Andy Griffith show, which I don't know if y'all remember that. It might have been way before most of y'all's day. But it was the town of Mayberry. It's a little country town. And whenever the people would get drunk, like they drink too much, they just go to the jail, take the key off, open the jail door, put themselves in jail, and then when they get through the next day, they reach out and get the key and let themselves out. That's how cool that town was. Okay, that's us. That's us. We can let ourselves out whenever we choose to. But if we are in that situation, we can ask the Holy Spirit, say, "I offer you my willingness to have this situation that I'm in right now serve no need but yours." And no matter where you are, you could be safe. No matter where you are, you could be safe. So would you acknowledge yourself, Holy Spirit, for hearing this much? I got to give it to you. You will willing to check it out. All right, so I'm going to do the financial expression of appreciation. And then we're going to do one little thing. That at the end of the class, we're going to also have, Sheila's going to make an announcement. I'm going to keep all this because I got the video going, so I'm just going to keep that going until I finish the class. And then Sheila's going to make an announcement right at the end. And thank you for sharing with me. I'm a full-time teacher of Course in Miracles, so I appreciate that. And let me give it to you. Also, I video all my classes, and those people that are on my contact list, I send you a link to the class so you can watch it right from your computer. So, if you really want to hear this again, it's available. All of my classes are on my website. All of my classes are on YouTube. So there's no excuse for saying you can't reinforce these ideas over and over and over again, because they're available, and I make them freely available.
And you can also make financial expressions on your website.
Yes,
correct?
you can also, right. Those of you on the internet, thank you for saying that. You can make financial expressions of appreciation by going to my website, earlpurdy.com. And also those of you who want a one-on-one session with me, I'm available for that, where I take everything I've studied and apply it to whatever it is you think you're going through, so that you can have a breakthrough if you want one. And you go to my website, it's called a clarity session, and it explains it in detail, and I also do them over Skype and on phone for those of you who are in other locations. So the help is there. It's available.
Can you pass the email list, please?
Yeah. Anybody want to be on there so they can receive the links to the videos? And also I can let you know when I'm in town or out of town. Tuesday night, we got a kick butt class called The Way of Mastery.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing class. It's hardcore metaphysics, just like the course. I like the weird stuff. I like to talk about the weird stuff. I'm not, that's my thing. I want to talk about the metaphysical stuff, the weird stuff, the woo-woo stuff. That's what turns me on. Because it's really a new perspective. So if you're open-minded and you want to check it out, please come. And what we're going to do, we're going to complete, and then right at the end of it, Chica's going to make an announcement. And what we're going to do one more time, we're going to have an encore request. And so we're going to get Tanika to share another one of her poems with us today. Before we go out of here. This is Tanika. It's like Beyonce. It's one word. And so let's support her the way we would want it if we were up here. This is new for her, okay?
Called Keeping the Faith. Now and then I remember when I had no worries, and there was never a need to be in a hurry. So how is it now I'm scurrying around with a smile turned upside down, constantly worrying? Good question. Could somebody please give me a healthy suggestion on how to get back to my original condition? The answers are in me, they say, but most times I don't see it that way. It feels like I've been led astray. So I prayed, and I jumped into the abyss. So now it's all about keeping the faith. Wait, keeping the faith? What does that mean? Life has become a strange dream where trusting in the unseen is the main theme in my experience as a human being. Looking outside myself had become so challenging, causing me a lot of pain and suffering. Is it really about losing it all to gain everything? Shh, I'm meditating. I'm trying to tip the scales to remember my true identity. I'm waiting patiently for the heart that's meant to love me. You see, I wouldn't even be writing this stuff if it wasn't for my last relationship going south and I wasn't being judged for everything that came out of my mouth. Keeping the faith, you say, is all about keeping the faith, you say, is all about looking at the situation differently? Well, what the hey? Shit, I'm tired of living in insanity. So what could it hurt by simply keeping the faith and trusting in something greater than me?
All right.
Wow, I just want to say what a beautiful poem that
Wasn't that great? Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, keep the faith because you're not going to get any more. Thank you, Earl, for a great class today.
Thank you.
I wanted to let everyone know that this Saturday we're having a big metaphysical fair here on all 3 floors. We have over 25 vendors coming, any type of reading in the world you could want. Food, reflexology, body workers, everything is here. It's a great time. This is like our 5th year to do it. So they know what they're doing. They come in and they set up. It's free admission and something for everyone. Promise, promise. This Saturday from 10 till 5.
Okay, so come in and check it out, you know, and allow yourself to have that. So we're going to take 1 minute to finish it all up right quick. And this is the thought I'd like you to finish with today. I offer my relationship to love. 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 I offer my relationship to peace. I offer my relationship to peace. I offer my relationship to peace. Now God, I offer my relationship to God. Yeah. I offer my relationship to God. I offer my relationships to God. I offer myself to God. Yeah. I offer myself to God. That means I offer myself to love. Would you say that? I offer myself to love. I appreciate y'all for coming out today and making yourself hear this. You all are awesome. Come on, give it up for yourself. Lord have mercy. All right. Drugs are available, and may the course be with you.